I look at this setup here for T1, and I don't think they need to change too much in this draft. And I think the Faker Azir priority is absolutely going to remain high. But you and I were talking about this in the break. The performance we saw from Lehens when he had the Fate's call, it's just out the window now, the Nautilus.
Yeah, Nautilus is just kind of not fair, right? You press R, you have insane engage, and yeah, you could be a little bit squishy afterwards, but it's just so much ability to make plays happen, and they're going to take that away from him. They will respect it and not allow Kalista and Nautilus to hit the Rift once again, as Faker's Orianna banned for the second game in a row as well. Don't think we're going to be seeing that tonight.
And looking at last game's performance on T1 individually, Faker the obvious standout. I think the bot lane did well. But Oner, I think, was better than his KDA showed, because he did have a lot of really good moments in that game. A couple of his smite steals, deny objectives, the way he used the Maokai. But Zeus really did have a rough one. I think was a little bit too trigger happy on the flank angles, which ended up backfiring multiple times as the Kalista gets locked in.
Guys, place your bets. Is it going top, AD carry, or support? Where's the
God,
Kalista
I don't
going?
know.
Is it mid?
I'm betting on Guma, and I think that it's been one of his biggest picks, obviously, throughout the year. The Varus, the Kalista, the Lucian, right? Those are the three, outside of the Senna, that I think will be permanently banned in this series. We have seen a lot of teams, especially, teams like Gen G, like Kano, be confident to leave the Kalista up and answer with the Varus. And it took them a while to lock it in, but FaZe will respond once again with said Varus here. The Rel often comes through in response to this, and this is a flex pick, can be played jungle, can be played support. They're likely to be going the support role, I think, in this matchup today. And will they go for the Renata is the big question here for me.
It's a triple threat, this Rel, because it also denies it to Oner. So, and now T1 are flexing, because I think ideally you'd want to go for the Renata, as you point out, on the side of Varus as well. Takes away a lot of the threat of the Kalista all lane, but into the Nico, you're not going to be able to do so. We'll see if Lehens, ever the counter picker, has something ready, because if you don't lock it in here, you might get in trouble when more gets banned out.
Yeah, they're not going to use it as a flex as they often do, because the Azir is just so high prio here. I think trying to play something like a Nico Nocturne is just not going to work against a team like Gen G. Then the Aurelion Soul comes out for Chovy. He's played it once in the playoffs. And this is a pick I expected to see from Faker moving into lower bracket finals and then the finals today. He didn't show it to us. He's not yet played it. And it's a pick that has risen really quickly to the top of the meta. It's very strong scaling pick, insane late game opportunities with this one.
If you thought FaZe had a bad time playing into Poppy last time, wait till you see Guma try to play Kalista into an ASO late game. You genuinely don't get to play the game. The Rylai's application is insane. And there is so much zone control that you never get to walk up and auto at any given point.
And if you put an equalizer on top of that E that comes down from the dragon, everybody dies. I really do appreciate the Rumble ban. Even though it's a ton of magic damage here, it's also still the flexibility of playing Rumble with this bottom lane. I don't know if you really want to run that one into the Nico, but it is a possibility they will not allow. The Vi does get taken away here from Oner as well. The Lee Sin, it was talked about in the Trash Talk interview before this series, hasn't really been a mainstay here in playoffs, but they're dwindling his champion pool here very significantly, and he's not the one to flex the Nico into this role either. I think that one is definitely going support.
Yeah, that definitely seems like what is going to happen, but still has the flexibility available. T1 thinking about their last ban here, and just trying to decide what they want to take away from the side of Gen G. Obviously, that Rel can still be flexed into the jungle, so no jungle ban's going to come out here. And the Jace will be denied this time immediately. The Annie gets locked in. And that's got to be in the support role, you would imagine.
It's got to be.
With the Aurelion Soul in the map, like...
There's just no way you could play Aurelion Soul in any other position than mid right now. It's just not viable. You need to have the ability to stack up, and obviously you play at top, you're too vulnerable. And so the Annie's going to come in here as a bit of an answer to the Nico. You can just stun her when she looks for the engages and then turn on that engage yourself. And Annie doesn't need gold to be a relevant champion. That CC is always going to be there, point and click.
As we see the Zins out, not surprising, given what has been happening in a lot of the playoffs, insane skirmishing in these longer fights. We'll see what the counter pick is going to be for Keen here into the Cassante. What direction does he want to go? Aatrox didn't really convince last time around. Is he just going to go for frontline as well?
Just be a Gnar pick here as well. Would be fairly safe into this. Rek'Sai still available, and this is going to be a pick that just gives you the opportunity to set up in team fights so easily with the Rel. I mean, the skirmish power that this has, even before the Aurelion Soul comes online, is so high. But I think so much pressure in this game is on both Canyon and Lehens to try to shut down those Nico engages and to make sure this Kalista does not become too big to fail in this mid game, because you still have that powerhouse of Faker's Azir in those mid game fights before the Aurelion Soul is relevant here. It's definitely a strong early game for T1.
I can't believe that we didn't mention the Rek'Sai, the strongest tank that is in the game at the moment on this patch. Absolutely immovable object in lane. I think, if I remember correctly, in LPL we saw some Annie support as well. Of course, way back we used to see it a lot more, but there were some nerfs to it because it was getting flexed a lot to support and mid. But Lehens, if there is a guy you can trust on these type of crazy picks, is him.
I'm sure he's very well versed in this pick. For some reason, going to play it for the first time in a long time, and it's going to work out excellently. Would not be surprised at all. But yeah, you know, we saw the counter of the Zac in the top lane. By the way, before that, guys, this is Faker's family.
And his grandmother as well. Yep. The center comes to every final. We see her on camera pretty much every time, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Star in her own right, as they'll be cheering on T1's attempts to try to come back in the series. Only down 1-0, but Gen G looking incredibly strong in that first one, and now coming out with a pretty fun Annie support pick, and we'll see how that works for them as we are ready, guys, to hop into the rift for game number 2. Here we go, game number 2. T1 starting off on the blue side of the map. After dropping game 1, they have the side selection. We'll see if it works out for them. And I was mentioning the Zac. You can't counterpick R5, right? Could have gone for something a bit spicier. Keen could try to play, you know, a ranged top, but you already have a lot of scaling, a lot of damage in your comp with the Aurelion Soul, the Varus, and even the Annie. So I think it's fine to just pick up Rek'Sai. Still a very strong pick, especially if it can't be countered by Zac.
It is a really, really strong pick in this meta. I think at the beginning of Aurelion Soul, I always associate it, you know, in the years past, you associate with players like Fly, right? And you think about the old days, K2 Rolster, you know, it was played with Rox, and it was a very strong pick. Kuro's played it a lot, right? But recently, more so with Bulldog, right? He's a player who pulled it out first, plays it a ton, loves to play the scaling mid with a strong bottom lane. With this Annie pick, you neutralize the Kalista quite significantly. And in the early days of Aurelion Soul, we were like, okay, this pick just kind of sits back at scale. But as players have become more comfortable with the harassment with Qs and stuff like that, going for Comet here, you can actually, you know, end up having some presence in lane, and you can harass, you can stack up early. As you can see here from Chovy, it's not just a sit back at scale pick anymore, and he's putting the hurt on the Faker.
Faker wants to take a big trade here as well, but has to step up and isn't necessarily going to win that one. Is Chovy feeling pretty good about that comfortable harass you were mentioning?
See there as well, Faker going again for the Halo Blades just to try and fight for early prio. Mid lane so insanely important. Not just between these two teams, but there's a reason why only 4 mid laners for, like, I forget how many years it is now, have made it to LCK finals between Faker, Showmaker, and the 2 people in front of you on the screen. And I really, really like what Gen G have. The only thing that I do agree with you is that if bot lane starts falling behind, the top half of the map either needs a lot of time, or I think the Rek'Sai has deceptive amounts of damage, but paired with a Rel, and it is a little bit tough to actually win these early fights. But
Faker getting in on a Faker here. He's not going to get that second application. And Faker definitely playing on a knife's edge here. Chovy on the Aurelion Soul doesn't necessarily have crazy threat at level 3, but definitely doing a good job of chipping away at Faker and making this a bit dicey.
He took Scorch. Oftentimes you do take Gathering Power so you can later on stack up that extra AP and just be a huge menace in the late game, and it's the most common rune you end up taking on Aurelion Soul in most cases, but Jovy's opting to Scorch for this additional damage, and Faker's just getting pushed out of the lane.
And Wolf, you were talking about Aurelion Soul players. Nowadays, I think Jovy's most well-known for it, actually. He's played it a lot in recent times, especially alongside of the Smolder, which was in the meta there for a little bit, as Lehens was the last person to play this Annie support, and it was into Delight.
Yeah. And, you know, you mentioned Chovy playing this pick a lot. He's only played it once in playoffs. 1-0 on it into Hanwha Life, I believe. And, you know, the early pressure he has with this can allow him to roam too. You know, Aurelion Sol, again, not extremely powerful early, but can fly in and do a ton of damage with his flight. And if he ends up getting a kill, resets the cooldown on the flight, you could just continue to put that pressure on. As you can see here, he can kind of even cover this bottom lane with the prio he has mid.
Actually really big because Paze and Lahens are a little bit low. Chovy placing a ward there. Doesn't have vision of the top half of the brush though.
He is Aurelion Sol, so he can just dash away. Chovy holding on to that ability, and he will be totally fine. Even though it was a little bit scary there. Xin Zhao, we know what he is capable of. And now, on a little bit of a gank path, is Canyon, the flash forward. Guma immediately going to try to cleanse it down. Will go Lahens as the trade back here flashed away from that one by Guma, but it's not quite going to be enough as now Canyon continuing on the chase here. Keria just looking for another route to come down. Will be matched by the stun as now the charge on forward. Paze really would love to take this kill. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. We'll have to see if Canyon can still get the kill as well. And yeah, he's just going to walk this one out. And that will just be a trade 1-for-1 with Guma picking up a kill himself. And still chasing on this one, but not going to be able to pick up the kill.
It's pretty huge that they kill Guma there, and he can actually return some of the CS advantage there. Sorry to cross you, Chronicler. That's big. You know, if this ends up just being a kill that goes over and Guma lives, or it's a kill onto Keria, you don't feel as good about it, but at least he can shore up some of that deficit.
Gang time are a little bit awkward there as well because as the wave crashes, yes, they get the kill, but it goes over to Canyon, and Pace doesn't get to actually catch that wave because they're trying to still make the play onto Keria, meaning that the CS lead for Guma is still very much in place. And this is essential for T1. They need to get this early game rolling very early on, because I feel like late game, trying to play front to back into Genji's composition is just going to be so insanely hard.
Just going to use the ult here to clear out those minions and get away. Not going to have any kill pressure there on the Faker, but maintains that prio. And as you mentioned, you know, he did shore up some of that CS deficit, but as he has to back, the back timing means that Guma has that control again. And what impact can Canyon realistically make now in this bottom lane without Flash? Very tough to actually impact this, and T1 will continue to control.
Yeah, especially with Guma picking up that Dirk and just getting in their face. Lane is pushing into them. The amount of poke you have with the Nico. The fact that both of these players are so confident on these two picks as well. It's going to look really good for the side of T1 down on the bottom side of the map, and you're just kind of sitting there awkwardly with an Annie and a Varus just farming under turret and not doing much else.
Not only that, but you are looking at two immobile carries on the, or immobile squishies on the side of Genji. Chovy is just farming some stacks that are going to be super susceptible to just being kind of taken out by Keria when he gets thrown in. Guma is level 6 now. Once the same is the case for Keria, there's From on top of this Annie and Varus combo, especially because they have an experience lead.
Keria having a bit of fun here with the Nico, but not very fun for Genji's bottom lane because they have no vision and not a lot of control. They require Chovy and Canyon to roam down there, keep them safe, and just provide some sort of early game presence for the side of Genji, because without that they don't have much.
Now it is very scary as Aurelion Sol tries to farm against Azir at this point, because he has to channel his Q during the E there to actually then burn through the minions and get those stacks to come through. And as you channel, you are immobile, so Faker has an opportunity to Emperor's Divide. If Oner is nearby, it's so dangerous for Chovy, so constantly tracking where Oner is at all times and using this combo here when Faker is not in Emperor's Divide range is what Chovy's going to be looking for. We'll stack those up and leave.
Early Infernal here for the side of T1. Just going to utilize the fact that, well, Genji don't have much of a bottom lane. And now Paze, yeah, might be more literal than I was expecting, as now Oner getting on in. The root's going to come in, and nice cleanse, they say, but you're going to die. 3v1 on the dive in the bottom lane.
And that's also with Pace using his cleanse, and 3-6. Keria doesn't even have his ultimate available just yet. So this bot lane, as we expect, is going to be a huge problem. And yeah, the other area of the map is fine. Obviously, Chovy is still scaling, but if you lose your bot lane turret at like 12 minutes and you can't contest on any dragon, then you might be able to, or you might be forced rather to fights before Chovy is online. Because right now, Pace and Lance not really in the game.
Yeah, and this is the first time Chovy's not able to really go down and babysit the lane. He was backing, they saw him back, they knew he backed, so they knew it was a very apt timing to look for that engage, that dive setup there. ended up taking him out. So Pei's down cleanse still, as mentioned. Does have 6. Lahens will have 6 fairly soon here, and then they could look to kind of counter some of these setups, but so tricky without it. As Chovy wants to get into the thick of things. Every time Chovy's able to burn through those health bars and build up stacks, it advances his ability to then be relevant, moving towards the mid game, moving towards the late game. Not going to impact this one, though.
Yeah. Chovy multiple times was able to hit like 400 stacks, and once you get that empowered ultimate ability, it's just, you know, you mentioned the size of the, I think it's called the singularity, the E.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't get to walk into that, but also the shockwave is basically global. You're just going to be taking huge amounts of damage. He just presses it anywhere, might even hit you with it, and is eventually going to hit you with part of it, and it is going to make a big deal of damage once we do get to the later parts of the game. So we'll be curious to see just how farmed and ahead Chovy can get in this one.
What's big as well is that in the last game, Pace went for Lethality Kalista because he had to. He didn't really have a choice to go something else because he was playing into Poppy, so you're never going to be able to auto in that lane. And he played it into 2 tanks, didn't feel that great. Now, Guma not only is way more fed, up almost 40 CS, sitting on Opportunity and a Dirk, but he's also playing into Annie and Varus. Yes, eventually Keen and Kayn are going to be part of it, but right now, this bot lane, all due to that first gank backfiring, Lahens just overstepping, and then Pace making a big mistake sticking around, is looking really good for T1. And with their objective control as good as it was in the last game, I think that you're going to fight like one dragon or like one good Herald fight to at least slow T1 down a little bit. And Keen, he is really enjoying the lack of tension towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, he'll take an extra turret shot. Does not mind. Will just heal right through it. And okay, here's an opportunity here for a bit of a bait from Faker.
Yeah.
Not going to commit.
Doesn't look like either side really wants to fight this one just yet. Especially with some missed abilities, but definitely the story of the game so far isn't really the fact that Rek'Sai is ahead 20 CS. It's that Guma has the most farm in the game, and he is getting incredibly far ahead. He
what is that?
Care about turrets, about the game, about anything except grasp stacking and getting turret plays.
Grasp stack, plate, rotate, go around. Grasp
Easy,
stack, plate,
simple
rotate.
game plan.
3 steps to success.
And Keen has been, unfortunately, pretty notorious for messing up best of 5s, right? Has choked several of them. You know, we'll talk about the Worlds. We don't like to, with the Freaka coming through there, not having the best time. Obviously,
KT, anyone?
Yeah, any KT roasters, summer, lower bracket finals,
I don't
best
remember.
of 5.
What about upper bracket finals?
What about upper bracket finals? Another question mark. Question mark in terms of the pick of opponent that we did see. But, you know, so far in this second game here, the gameplay is simple, the gameplay is easy, and he's going to be a big tank later on. The Aurelion Soul is going to be a big damage threat. I think the question is, how much can T1 do with this lead? And how many of those dragons can they deny? Because one dragon means 5 minutes of stacking, as you were saying, Chronicler, for this Aurelion Soul.
That's the big thing, and the big difference for me. I feel like last game it was kind of questionable as to which team had a really big advantage when it came to the late game, and we saw that in how the game played out. This time around, as good as Faker's Azir was and as much damage as he is going to do, I truly think Acel just reaches a point eventually where as long as you generally look in the same direction and you just fire off an ultimate and have tendency season people, you're going to win fights. That's just the reality of how this pick works. And it's the Rylai's as well, it's the Leandries. It's really hard to actually itemize in the way that I think with Corki, we see people be able to go like Stopwatch or Spell Shield to mitigate some of his impact. For Acel, I think that's a lot harder. T1 though, right now, are doing a good job. Second Drake gonna be really bigger, and I think they're hoping for something like a Cloud or a Hextech Soul.
Certainly. Lahens.
Oh, a little play here. Lahens is going to get the stun off, and now he's just on the run as Fate's Call is going to be used to try to get on top of him. Lahens will flash away, of course, to try to survive, and now that Rylai is really doing a number here to Faker, who has to flash away himself. Big Ol is going to come up from Chovy, picks up the kill, but now might be traded back. Yes, you will. Oner going to pick up that one, and now T1 on the chase. They get the knock up here on the Keen, who is going 1v4. And is taking quite a while to go down.
It's fine.
Is he? Okay, finally he dies, thankfully.
The big story here is he's just trying to buy time for the team to retreat because there's no way to fight this dragon anymore without Chovy Faker makes a huge impact, obviously, in these team fights, so picking him up would have been huge, but at the cost of your own life, not so much. And Lehen's obviously trying to make something with that pick onto Keria, but he just doesn't do that much damage. It's sitting on cooldown boots in the Kendall gym, so, you know, he does end up getting the initial stun there, but there's no follow-up. And if Gen G get a pick, they can get that magical dragon, that 5 minutes of time, but this backfires heavily, and T1 get the 2 Drake lead.
We'll allow a little bit of retaliation here for Gen G. Some plates for players who desperately need some money and a kill.
K'Sante, can he survive is the other question. Tanking it up excellently is Lehen's. That is going to be the end of Zeus in a 3v1 die.
And just like I overestimated Keen's tankiness, Zeus overestimated his own there. The amount of CC available, still enough to chain him down there. That's a really big unforced error. That's the type of moments that you can't really afford to give to a team like Gen G, because again, gets a late game Chovy. Yeah, the play didn't end up working out, but he still got a kill, still accelerated.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the question becomes here, what does Gen G get from this pick on the Zeus? Not a whole lot. I mean, plates have already fallen. Zeus does have teleport coming back online soon here. This is the big story here. Lehen's just thinks maybe he could set something up here with Canyon, but Canyon's focused on Faker because they're so scared about an Emperor's Divide angle there. It looks like potentially a bit of miscommunication between Lehen's and Canyon on this one. They see Faker go forward though. The slows with the Andres are huge. And look at this ult coming through from the Aurelion Sol. It's the Comet that kills him. He trades his life for it though, and now T1 just had the better team fight.
Yeah, I don't know about that flash from Keen. That was a little unfortunate. The initial play great from Gen G because they have the advantage on the roam, but get a little bit too excited as they're able to single out a target. As in the picture-in-picture, we do see T1 very good. Take another objective as here. It's the CC chain. He doesn't actually get to use his W, which means that even with the limited damage, still able to take him down.
And even though they got that pick on the Keen, or rather on the Zeus, doesn't necessarily matter because there's just nothing to take on the map. And it's, you know, T1 that pick up the Rift Herald. So it is nice to slow K'Sante down, but K'Sante will always be relevant later on in the game. Barring a disaster, a 500 gold lead here for Keen doesn't necessarily matter. But again, Gen G buying time. That's the big story. Chovy with that 500 gold lead. He is the main character of this game. It's either shut him down or it becomes too big to fail.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it is a Ocean Soul. T1 gonna be feeling pretty decent about it. I mean, they have a couple, you know, like 1.5 tanks, I guess. It's not amazing for them, obviously. They would have liked something else, but, you know, there's a decent amount of poke coming out from the Varus, even the Aurelion Sol. As now, we're gonna make a play here on a Zeus, potentially, but Keen just tanking up the turret, gonna demolish that one down, and now the chase coming in from the big dragon that is Chovy, and you know what, Zeus? Ghost's not going to get you out of this one this time, as it is going to be a trade of turrets. T1 also pushing the bottom lane.
Is the Herald available though for T1? And that might be end up being the big difference maker. If they get the crash, if they get the inner here as well, I think you take that trade. Yeah, Zeus ends up going down, but if you trade up in turrets, I don't think you're going to be feeling too bad about it. Looks like that is going to be the case. At the same time, though, you can also argue that if you are Gen G, as Oner got cancelled, I don't think he's getting out.
I mean, he went into that with 84 health as now. He does have some support. He's got an ult himself, but the rest of Gen G are barreling down into the bottom lane, and the Crescent Guard is going to be nice for a little bit as Keen is tanking up that turret quite a lot, but he is Rek'Sai. Now they're going to go for the re-engage. A massive knockup comes in from the side of Keria, but the turn is coming in immediately. Keen is going to survive on the backside of that, and the Aurelion Sol with that upgraded ultimate is going to always be relevant on the chase and is going to trade it back.
I mean, you get a kill like that, and then the reset comes through for Chovy's flight. You have to be so careful about that too. He actually runs away with this. I think this is a huge win. Great punish from Gen G. The win here is that you ended up, yes, losing the inner turret there. You end up getting multiple kills. Chovy gets a kill here topside. By the way, it's K'Sante, so while he is killing him, he is just burning through stacks after stacks, 2 by 2. On this, K'Sante gets to back and get additional kill gold on the top side of the map. This Aurelion Sol is starting to get online way too early.
This is a classic T1 pitfall that we've seen him fall. Just let Oner die. It's not the end of the world. You can just let him go because you don't have TP on your front line. Faker, I think, had the right idea when he was like, I'm hightailing out of there. It's not the best of trades, but it's not the end of the world. But by doubling down, look, I think Faker's out. Guma and Keria going in here because they think they can turn the fight is a bold call if it ends up working out, and they feel confident because Guma is fed. but with out of front line, like, you're gonna get blown up in seconds.
I mean, they killed Danny. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's all they got. And Chovy got a double kill, insanely scaled, a bunch of stacks, and Gen.G now have control of the map. So now they can even fight for a Drake and delay this Aurelion Soul scaling even more.
Fate's calls back up, Keria's ult's back up.
How about just another fight here as Keria is just going to be okay. The TP is coming in. Keen trying to get out of this one, trying to extend this onto the red side, though. It's not going to work out, and the Fate's call saves Keria, but a lot used to try to keep them around.
And, you know, again, they just force out 2 key ultimates. The Fate's call, gone. Keria's ultimate here, the Pop Blossom, gone. Chovy sitting on his, and he is just such a menace. Does have that Blighted Jewel picked up as well. So much damage on this Aurelion Soul. Here's the TP from Keen. This is going to be that 5 minutes of time they finally buy here. 1 Dragon is all they needed to get this Aurelion Soul to the late game, but he's almost already there. I mean, he's looking for that 3rd item Crypt Bloom here pretty soon.
Just 233 stacks as, yeah, he's just having some fun. I mean, he's already on like 250 stacks. And we're 19 minutes into the game.
Yeah, he's 4-1, guys. That's not great if you're T1. And you know what? You know what's got to build him out here? It's a classic. We've seen it before, the T1 Baron. You got to start dropping some of these objectives. You got to catch Gen.G off guard. Because if Gen.G just gets to, again, kind of default back into their normal playstyles, I'm not even going to stop talking because it's Rek'Sai. We all know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Chronicler. I mean, if they don't take the fight early here with this next Pop Blossom Fate's Call setup, I mean, this game just becomes so easy for Gen.G to play out because, yeah, they're 1,000 gold ahead, but this Aurelion Soul feels like 4,000 gold worth of advantages in one champion by itself with what it's going to be able to do here. Yes, Keen tanks a lot of damage, back to your point a moment ago, Chronicler. He was never going to die there. But T1 haven't been playing around the lead they gave Guma.
Also the most damage still.
Okay, that's not cool.
Okay, that part we're like, okay, that shouldn't be. That's
he is fighting Cassante.
Yeah, that's.
So. Any Sunfire enjoyers on the desk?
One highlight as well is that a lot of the gold of T1 is on Guma, who finally, it's the monkey's paw. It gets to be the main character. He's playing a Fed Kalista. He's playing lethality into, at least on the bottom half of the map, Thomas Fishes gets a big lead. And then now he's going to be stuck playing Kalista into a monster Fed A-Soul. It's not going to feel great.
It's not, and I feel like fighting these skirmishes and trying to cross-map, Gen.G caught them with their pants down a little bit. They're punished really hard on the bottom side push to inner, and if they had just played around objectives, they just held off, grouped, let Oner die, regroup, and then fight that dragon fight with a Pop Blossom with vision control, could be a different story here. So that's just to grab the Edge of Night. Good call here from Keria to trade that cooldown here. Maybe there's an opportunity. But Guma's advantages, I feel, have all but fallen apart here. They've been completely wasted, squandered by T1.
Do want to say T1 still have a ton of backline threat if Chovy mispositions, if they get a big wombo combo, there is still a lot possible. It's not like this team fight, this composition can't fight the front to back. Keria does have teal. Also want to highlight that
Faker interrupted on the dash, and the whole team, the entire team is coming on up. TP now, as Rek'Sai ultimate going to be used. Faker not going to be able to sweep him away. And Zeus desperate to save him, but it's not going to help as Pace is just dead on the right side. Just going to go down essentially for free as Keria and Guma do Fates call him to death, and now Zeus on the chase, and the flash on in from Keria. They're trying to take out Chovy, and they will be able to. Guma finally able to frontline, and it's a winning fight here for T1 as they take out 3.
That's what we were talking about. If they can get on top of Chovy, if they can take out the dragon, they can make the turnaround. And normally when Faker seems to get caught, reinforcements are there earlier, but there is one man that can stop this. This is a Rel with Flash. You can't let him near the pit, T1.
I think he might be on the upper part. There he is.
Yeah, they're going to try their best to keep him out, but at the end of the day, Zeus doesn't have all out. They just need to turn onto him, otherwise.
Flash as well.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to be rooted up, as now he's not going to be able to get into the pit as, yeah, pushed away here by Keria and is super low. And one last try maybe is now Navarez tries to steal that one away. It's not going to happen, and T1 will take down a very early Baron.
That's smite timing, a little bit suspect as well. They had a little bit of extra control. I guess they weren't worried, but man, if he was able to get in there, he could have to smite better than that. as this time, it's not T1 collapsing and hard forcing a fight where they're disadvantaged. This time, Faker, goodbye time with Sundisk here, and as Genji rotate over, it's Pays who's caught, and if Pays doesn't get caught, maybe he can come up and help Genji win this upper part of the fight. Zeus is tanky enough to absorb this pressure, and Chovy already used his ultimate. Doesn't really have any peel here outside of Rylai's. Keria sets up both plays, first with a Fates call here, and then with a big Pop Blossom. And look at Guma, free firing through Genji. These are the fights that T1 need to hard force. Another good punish.
And here, Keria not able to make it over. That was always going to be a Hail Mary. Pays, I think, saw Keria, knew he was dead. Maybe if you make it over to the other end of the wall, flash over there, you can make it. But it's the fact that actually not only did Logan and Chovy, but Guma, the most member, gets to actually hit him with a spear. And as soon as the Lethality Kalista just gets onto the back line, even just one Q can be the difference maker. And now T1, this is the lead they were looking for.
Yeah, they're going to be feeling pretty good about their spot now of 5,000 gold in this game.
Chovy does have the empowered ultimate here.
Yeah.
Yep. And so much damage already done in the neutral. Look at how much he can do just over this wall, unpunished.
Yeah, T1 are struggling to really force something here, and they're getting awkwardly poked out by the Lethality Varus and, of course, the Aurelion Soul. It's kind of the main character in this game.
And that's just a Fury tool. Nice for Keen. More health.
Mid-tier 1's going to go down. Guma not in position here on this Drake, though. He does have Faker, and they're continuing to push. It is, after all, just a singular Ocean Drake that Genji are making a play for. And now T1 on the flank coming around from the top side. Let's see if this does work out for them.
Such a scary moment here for Genji getting wrapped around like this, pushed backs against the wall.
They have the vision with the Rex sign. Keen just staying burrowed, saying, okay, they're trying to flank. He's going to take out that blast cone, a rare engaged cone, as now Genji sticking around here.
Bounties are up.
And they have the Rel, I mean, with the redemption coming in as well. Now the engage is going to be denied, as we do have a massive ultimate coming down, and now the engage comes in from the side of Genji. Guma not able to play the game this time around. Keria also going down, and Oner is left alone. Faker also on the run, as Oner desperate to try to take out Pays. It's not going to happen. It's a quadra kill for the side of Chovy.
Normally you can trust T1 when it comes to these Red Bull Baron power plays, but this one is a disaster! As instead of using the pushing power, they opt into a fight against Chovy with his ult up!
And they opt into this fight when they don't have the range to fight neutral against the poke of the Aurelion Soul, the poke of the Varus, and they're not decisive with the calls. They do the long wraparound.
Oh boy.
But Genji handle it so well. 3,000 gold, the advantage now is Chovy. 9 kills on Aurelion Soul. And you can see the poke war comes through here, and T1 decide the redemption is going to be the go button. As you see Zeus come through, Keria's Pop Blossom, a complete whip, and Chovy says, nice redemption. I see that circle on the ground. I'll give you one back, as he tosses the ultimate in, and no one can retreat. It's a global slow across all of T1, and he just rips them apart.
Another big thing is that Keen completely zones out Faker. He has been the big team fight carry for this roster. We saw it last time around as well. But instead, he has to deal with this immovable monster, just knocking him up, not taking any damage despite his itemization.
He just straight up buys a full Horizon focus off of the fight as well.
This is lore accurate ASOL right here.
God. Oh, somebody stop this man. I mean,
350 stacks at 26, 27 minutes.
It's disgusting.
Okay, hey guys, they got Soul Point for Ocean Soul.
Yeah, great.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Not what you want to be.
There were some 3-0 predictions, but Atlas said it best. Chovy.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. It's not over. It's not over. I'm just saying, you know, like, game 1 as well, and now he's got 9 kills on Aurelion Soul. Like, this guy just warps every game he plays in. It's not fair.
And it's just such a Chovy champion. All you want to do is get CS and then carry team fights. And look at his damage dealt here. Already 25,000 here at 27.5 minutes. And you know, when we mentioned the Aurelion Soul in the draft, we spent the entire early game talking about this pick because it is a pick that, if played correctly, it gets advantages and shuts down this insanely early game focus comp from T1. The Cassante doesn't matter. The Xin Zhao tankiness doesn't matter. You will just get burned down every single chance Chovy gets, and he's not even afraid of you. He can fly away, he can fly in and get dash reset.
Oh no!
And now he's got, with those next stacks, another empowered ultimate. And T1, they won't be able to match this. A super strong pick that may need to look in future drafts for this best of 5. unless Faker can play it, which he hasn't, which is a big question we had going into this playoff series yesterday and today. And we're gonna just need like more stacks.
Yeah, they're just feeding him everything. I mean, you might as well at this point. Like, FaZe, he knows he's not the main character. He's doing his job already. He's lethality Varus. He's gonna get some poke in. He doesn't necessarily need to farm as much, I guess.
He presses R.
Yeah.
You know, he'll throw an arrow, maybe an
He
empower.
tries to stop Zeus's TP one time.
That was good. I also
Yeah.
I've seen it already in multiple fights, but I also love Lahens going for the redemption. Something that's normally on any, you see more the Zazak style build. I think particularly in pro play, all the value you're going to get is the CC anyway. You're not really expected to get fed, and in a game like this you shouldn't. So getting a ton of healing and slowing value, as if the Rylai's ASO wasn't enough, is really going to make the fights a lot harder to play out.
Oh boy.
Here he comes.
Just trying to get away from this guy, I guess. Keen also knows he can always stick his head right in there, like right into the back line. Has no fear of dying.
There's bounties up, and Gen.G is the one in control of the map. What's happening?
Wait, that's not allowed. How is that even?
I mean, the gold lead is
They're down
T1.
Yeah, they're down 3,000
And they have 3 Drakes to 1.
I mean, Chovy is that one guy you hate to see when he's on the other team. It's the solo queue mid laner. Why does he have 9 kills? Why is he so fast?
Faker trying to get an angle. Let's see if he can do it. He's going to try to get on FaZe, and he will take out the Varus once again. That is not the Aurelion Soul as a counter engage. Comes in, they take out the Kalista. As Faker's still alive here, now the front line of Gen.G is going down. Redemption for Canyon, and Keen in the front line trying to take it up. Toby puts a giant heat on everybody here in the front line. It's such a close fight as both teams have only lost 1 member so far. Keen still on the chase, but now the Azir turret will stop this fight.
Key thing here is that FaZe has pointed out he's not the main character. I don't even think he's in this part of the book. He doesn't matter at all, gets taken down. But as long as Chovy is alive,
they're going Baron.
Yeah, they have to.
They're saying, okay, yeah, take the Ocean Drake. Sure, we don't care.
Now, there's no teleport here for either of the soul laners, but Keen is going to be able to suss this out.
Yeah.
And they should be able to rush over. Nobody's going to be able to fly. He doesn't have teleport, but he gets here so quick. And Keen,
he doesn't have his ult.
He doesn't care with 3 people.
Yeah, Keen can't do anything, and Chovy can't get here in time. Doesn't have his ult. It's a Baron over to the side of T1. And now, on the chase, thinking about it, FaZe is here. He's trying to enter the storyline. He wants to be a character in this game, but now the ult's going to come down from the Aurelion Soul, and the Crescent Guard is doing so much. Chovy is going to finally be taken out, and Faker gets the shutdown as well. So much gold for them. And that might be what T1 needed.
They have the Baron and the biggest source of wave clear, and damage is dead. 45 seconds.
30 minutes into this game, T1 may have done it with this flank from Faker. From our vision that we saw from the observers, it looked like Gen.G could absolutely stick around and fight that. Chovy uses his ult as well, won't have that on respawn if he respawns here in 30 seconds.
They're going to try to go for this one. And now they're throwing in Keria. They're looking for the angles. The Rek'Sai not tanky enough. And they're going to get the flash away from Lahens, but now
15.
only a cannon minion.
1 minion
is going to stay alive. They're going to try to push in with this one. And FaZe going to dodge it. The engage from Canyon to buy them a chance in game number 2, but I don't know if they're going to have it. FaZe takes out 1, but it's 4 people against the Nexus, and they're just going to knock it down. T1 going to